Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Renew Podcast. I am Kristen Andre, and I have with me today my fabulous co-host, the marvelous Miss Mendoza.
Good morning.
How are you doing this morning?
Good. How are you?
We are once again sitting on the face of the sun.
But the lighting is fabulous.
But the lighting is. The comments are rolling in that the lightings are fabulous. So thank you, Tommy, for that nod. Yeah, we're on air live. Finally, because Facebook has been giving us some grief these past few weeks.
I'm going to have to call up Mark again.
You need to have a talk. But that's all right, because we made it, and we are here, broadcasting live on the sun. But today, my friend, here's what we're talking about. And we're going to play a clip in just a little minute to lead you guys. We're talking about comfort food. But not the comfort food that you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Not the kind of comfort food that I have been foregoing because I'm still doing my 75 hard challenge.
This does kind of make me crave some mashed potatoes.
I did forego the pizza at the pool yesterday. We were at the pool for 87 hours over the last few days. And I got pizza for the kids, the lifeguards, because they were a lot of people. So I did not have any. I stuck with my deal. But that's not comfort food we're talking about today. Today we're talking about the other kind of stuff we're feeding ourselves. And kind of to set it up a little bit, because they call it a feed, we're going to play a little clip from Stephen Furtick. You like him. You follow him a lot.
I do like Stephen Furtick, yeah.
So Steve's a pastor, and you guys may have seen him online because he does a lot of stuff. But yeah. I think he sets up our discussion really well. So Ingrid, will you roll that clip for us?
What really makes me crave something that kills me? Or like you said in the pound the other day, Elijah said something. He goes, why do we crave what we hate? I said, stop right now. We were in the middle of a workout. I said, stop right now. I took a big red marker and wrote it down on the page. That's the question we're after. Remember they cried out for God to get them out of Egypt? Yeah. And then God did? And now they're wailing to go back? But I get it. I get it because like Graham said, I'm not under the pressure of having to follow a moving cloud and a fire and not ever knowing when I'm going to be situated. So, why do you crave what you hate? Why do you prefer pessimistic thoughts? Why do you tend to gravitate toward that? Or self-pity? Why you like that? Why do you like to say real horrible stuff about yourself that you would fight somebody else if they said it to one of your friends? Why do you crave that? Why you feed yourself that? Feed yourself that. I always like to point out when we're talking about your phone is your Pharaoh, that most of the stuff that you're doing is called a feed. And have you noticed it doesn't really fill you? How many of you got off Instagram or Facebook one night this week and said, God, I just feel so fresh. I feel so ready for what's next. You know what? My faith in humanity is restored just seeing the comments of those who the Lord has appointed to speak into my life. Garlic, onions, leeks. This is delicious. Listen, man, it's like it was in Egypt. They gave them bricks with no straw. That's what these social media apps are designed to do to us, to starve us and to keep us coming. Y'all better watch the documentary on Netflix. This crap is real. And it doesn't fill you. Your appetite for the wrong things is insatiable. And yet some of the stuff you crave isn't bad. It's just where are you going to go to get it? What really makes me crave something?
It's so good.
That
no
kills
matter
me. Or like you said in the pound the other day, Elijah said something.
It's your feed.
He goes,
what are you feeding
why do we
yourself?
And I never
what
thought
we
about
hate?
that until he said it. Till he said it's your feed, and I'm like, it is. But we do. We feed, and he mentioned pessimism. I'm making up words today. Pessimism, all the things that and we've talked about this a ton, and I'm gonna keep talking about it because some of y'all still ticking me off with this.
Yep.
We're feeding ourselves all this negativity, and we have a choice what we eat. We have a choice what we feed ourselves.
Yeah.
But we continue to do that to ourselves. And it's like we continue to allow the negative stuff in, not just about us. I mean, we talked about other people last week and how we're being negative to other people, and y'all got to stop with that. But we allow it to happen to ourselves too.
Yeah.
We would never allow somebody to talk to our children or our friends the way we talk to ourselves
Yeah.
and all the negative thoughts and negative stuff that comes in.
Yeah. I think sometimes we don't even realize it because you just get in the flow.
Right.
Like, you pull out Instagram or TikTok or Facebook and you could sit there and scroll for hours.
Yes, I've done it.
Until you realize it and you're like, what the heck? I just wasted an hour.
Yeah. But if you're feeding yourself the wrong stuff, that compounds the problem. So, and I've said multiple times, my feed is pretty positive. I will hide you in a hot minute if it's negative, or if you go negative, or if you tend to post a lot of negative or I don't want to even say controversial, but just stuff that makes me bad energy. I hide them all day long. But we've got to start thinking about, there's a couple points he made. The pessimism and the negative thoughts are one, but one of them is we keep going back to it. And that's what I really want to spend some time on, because we've talked a lot about not being negative and trying to stay positive. But one of the things that I picked up on what Steve said was that we keep going back. It's like a train wreck. We just have to go back and, well, maybe it's different this time, or maybe we'll see things different, or this person will be less negative, or whatever. And we go back. We go back to social. We go back to toxic friends. Lord, heaven forbid, we go back to toxic relationships. Yep. Sometimes we don't leave them, or we leave them and we loop back around. It's not, things aren't going to be different. If they're bad stuff we're leaving behind, we need to leave them behind.
Yeah.
But we keep feeding ourselves things that aren't healthy for us.
The thing that strikes me about that, and this is no matter your beliefs, you probably know the story, and you heard Stephen say your phone is your Pharaoh. Mm-hmm. Well, pretty much everyone knows the story of the Israelites in Egypt. They cried out, deliver us. They got delivered. And then they roamed in the woods for 40 years. And then they were hungry. And
that was a slow learning curve there.
But we do that.
I know. Think about how long. I mean, you hadn't hit 40 yet. I'm past it, but you roam around. I mean, that's really a good analogy.
Yeah.
So how do we get, that's the issue is we've got to get people to quit roaming. We've got to figure out, okay, how in the world can we start focusing on better things?
Yeah. You get what you ask for, which, again, in the Israelites' case would be manna. And then they got tired of it, and they're like, this man is terrible. Let's just go back to Egypt.
Well, and that's the thing.
It's
all right,
amazing.
so let's take that today with friendships, with relationships, with jobs, with everything. We do that. It's like I have so many people, and I wrote. Actually, I told a story about this in my book. I have people that complain about their jobs. I have a friend, and he has complained about his job for the last decade, and I challenge him on it. I'm like, well, then do something different. He complains about his job, complains about his boss. If you're not going to proactively make a change, I've said this, it's my favorite quote. If you're not going to proactively make a change, you forfeit the right to complain about it.
Right.
At least in my little world. So if you're not going to change it, quit bitching about it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But the thing that I want to dive into is we all have the option to change it. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what Stephen was talking about is we go back to comfort. We go back to comfort food. And so there's got to be something that people are getting out of these bad relationships.
Yeah.
I will assure you, I cut off. I've had several that resurface. I have had several that resurface a bunch of times. And you feel, you have to build up like a thick skin almost to kind of be able to repel those relationships or not get sucked back into them.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what happens. Like if we take, I don't know, let's take dating, for example. It's, one person I'd gone out with multiple times. Every time I went back out, I'm like, well, it's not any better. It's not any different. But you go back because it's comfort. It's familiar. You're like, I don't have to meet a new person. It's easy. But the easy road isn't always the best one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it in a large part is it's easy, at least, we tell ourselves that it's easier to go back because it's something that we're familiar with. At least when I know how a situation's going to end, I know how to deal with it. It's harder to go into something new and unexpected because most of us don't exactly like change.
So what makes change so scary?
I think the unknown.
But can't they be fun though?
It can be. Yeah,
I want to meet some unknown cool people that we go have adventures. That's a cool thing.
Yeah.
So
And that
why
probably-
is it scary?
Partly it probably comes down to mindset in the sense of how you view it, from either it's an adventure or it's scary. It's almost like a fast-paced job. Some people don't like that. They want to come in 9 to 5, do the same thing every day, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's just how they like it. Others, they want something different every day. They, they want the unexpected. It's very similar in the sense of like going into something that's predictable or something that you're used to handling. Sometimes it's, and I can say this for me, there were a lot of things when I was younger that were uncontrollable.
Yep.
And so when I got older, I was like, that's cool. Now I can control everything that I possibly can. But control is an illusion.
It is. What do I always say, Whitney? Control the controllables.
Yes.
But it's, there's nothing wrong with comfort food. There really isn't.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, your mashed potatoes, whatever it is, there's nothing wrong with feeding ourselves things that are comfortable. The challenge comes when that comfort food is really bad for you.
Yeah.
And when you're scared to take risk, or you're scared to, try a new adventure or leave a toxic relationship or anything like that, because you're like, it's familiar.
Are you ready for this? I just had a thought.
Did you have a thought?
Kristen, follow me. You put on weight.
Are you telling me this? But yes,
If
I've
you
done that. Yes.
If you stay and you consume in this bad relationship, is the example that we're talking about.
Okay.
You put on weight. The longer you stay, the harder it is for you to get out.
So the analogy then is, it's the comfort food.
Yep.
You keep the negative, you're going to put on the negative pounds.
Yep.
I think it's right. I think you're right. And the longer it's going to take you to get rid of, to
Yes,
shed the negative
100%.
pounds. I think that's I like that analogy. I don't
you-
like any dieting analogy.
Well,
That's
and
always
you-
a good thing.
And you look at it of your emotions, the people you meet, because then you start introducing parents or friends, and then everyone knows. And
Yeah.
if you move in together, then you got to move out. Like, that's a big thing.
There's logistics.
too.
There are a lot of
Yes,
logistics.
Logistics
And
is
I've had
good.
this conversation with friends of mine that just stay. And I'm not saying, I'm obviously not a therapist. I play one on TV. I've had enough therapy over the years to feel like I could do it. But, I have friends that have stayed in very unhealthy relationships that
Yeah.
are like, it's just a lot. It'd be a lot to leave. I'm like, really? A lot? Yeah. Okay. But you've got to look at the outcome. Is it better to stay in the comfort zone, gaining the negative weight or whatever you're going to call it? Or is it better to say, all right, what else is ahead?
Yeah.
I just don't want people to get stuck, because I'm seeing so many people say, and I think we got a little bit complacent. And, Stephen mentioned in the video, it's what we feed ourselves. And social media is I would say for most people, 90% of what is getting fed to us right now for
Yep.
the large majority of the population. I mean, I mentioned we were outside the pool. I was scrolling on my phone some yesterday, sitting out the pool. We got in the pool and played and that type of stuff, but we all do it. We all consume social media, and we consume whatever it is, the media companies, sorry, because you're a media company. We consume whatever it is they want us to consume.
Yeah.
Unless we take the time to truly curate our feeds and try to figure out what we're absorbing, we're going to consume what they put out there.
Yeah. And he did mention, choosing the positivity, the positive side. So like us being a media company, we like to pride ourselves on the fact that we do focus on the positive. And he's not saying
Yep.
throw your phone out the window and never get on
No.
Facebook, right? He's just saying be mindful of what you are consuming. And yes, you can curate that feed. He pointed back to the social dilemma, which
Yep.
we've talked about before. But
Yep.
just as much as if you feed the negative, you're going to get the negative. If you feed the positive, you're going to get the positive. So interact with the positive things, and it will feed you more positive.
Whichever comfort. I mean, whether it's comfort food or healthy food, you're feeding something. So
Yeah.
we've got Tommy commenting saying he thought Whitney was making a statement when you're talking about you gained weight. So she knows better, Tommy. You
promise,
know
no.
that. You've watched this enough to know. Yeah.
Andy called me a savage. Wow.
I like that. Stepping up today, Whitney.
That is
Whitney,
not what I meant.
the marvelous Miss Savage Mendoza with us
Wow.
today. So, no, it's,
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like we've got to address, not just with the comfort food, we've got to address the going back.
Yeah.
Like, we all know, I think there are very few people. Well, maybe I should rephrase, because I'm starting to think there are a lot more idiots in the world than I previously thought. Over the last year, the amount of idiocy seems to have stepped it up a notch.
Yeah.
However, let's, for the sake of arguments, assume that there are some smart people in the world. So if all the smart people are listening, why do you keep going back to what you know is bad for you?
Yeah. Or if you like this better, Tommy, picking up baggage. It's the same. You have to carry away more baggage if you stay. The longer you stay, the more. I mean, it would be like if I moved to France for a year.
Yep.
Look, I'm gonna have to be buying some stuff. So
It's France, yeah.
100. I'm gonna need some clothes.
But it's, we can pick up baggage. I think it's just how simple you make your life. Maybe we're overcomplicating life.
Ooh, that's good.
Because a lot of the baggage comes because we get too complicated. You know what I mean? Like my ex-in-laws, they love to travel internationally a ton. They always have. They would be gone for 2 weeks and they'd have a little duffel bag. I'm like, where are your shoes? My shoe bag is bigger than that.
Yeah.
But for them, and they're like, why do we need that much stuff? We're there to see the places. We'll find a place to do laundry. We'll do laundry at the hotel. And I'm like, I don't understand this concept. But it's true, because they had simplified their trip so much that all they had to worry about were the experiences and what they were doing while they were there, and the things they were seeing, and the people they were meeting, and the sights they took in. It made their trip memorable. It wasn't them dragging around, 18 suitcases and 18 things of luggage from the airport to each hotel or what have you. So I'm wondering if we might be just complicating a lot of things.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, for the most part, it's, and I've said this on here before, the relationships I've been in, friendships and romantic relationships and all that I knew weren't right. I knew them right, like in my gut right away. I always trust my gut. I didn't used to. If something's right or wrong.
Yeah.
So why do we spend so much time trying to justify and figure it out and whatever?
Yeah.
And I think that's the challenge, is we're trying to overcomplicate it and make it more than it needs to be, more difficult than it needs to be.
Yeah. I feel like we should come up with like Kristen's 5 rules to contentment or something.
I have the 50. We've been posting the 50. So the 50 things I learned in 50 years list is coming. I probably should boil those down to my top 5.
Because it seems that we have themes.
Yeah.
That would really, if we just followed those, 5, I'm picking a number 5 themes, that would answer a lot of things. Because we talk about, one, be nice, right? If you were just nice, just be nice, kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't help them, don't hurt them.
Finding your tribe of your people, because again, I think back to like, well, why do we post certain things on social media? Well, it could be like to impress others, or
right. Yeah.
Again, expound upon our values and mindsets, or something like that we're trying to communicate on social media and win others over.
Right.
When you can just share an update, like my cute dog.
I know. You're sweet pea.
And be kind. I mean, it's kind of going through those things of like.
But part of being kind is letting other people be them too.
Yeah.
Because like that's
100%.
one. I mean, kindness is one of mine for sure. Finding your tribe, knowing your people is one. Controlling the controllables is one of my themes. I call them the message themes.
Yeah.
And having fun. And I think so much time we spend trying to like complicate it or poke holes. I mean, I'm a business strategist. My job is to come in and work with a company or work with an entrepreneur and figure out what's not working and poke some holes and let's make it better. But that doesn't mean you poke holes in people or you poke holes in what they're doing. Like, you can still allow people to show up and be them.
Right.
And be kind.
Exactly.
Because there are some message themes, and the comfort food and what you feed yourself goes right into that. Because if you want to be negative, go on with yourself and be negative, but stay away from me, because it just, I also want you guys to understand. So if some of you guys are listening, because I know most of the people that listen and comment pretty regularly are pretty upbeat people, but I know there's some people that are going to listen to this and be like, oh yeah, it's because everything is great and I've got all these problems. I get that. I get that we all have problems, but you're choosing you're choosing your reaction to the problems.
Yeah.
So either fix it if it's a problem, or quit complaining about it.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, if you don't proactively try to change the things in your life you're not happy with, you forfeit the right to complain about them.
Yeah.
If you can change them, change them. If you can't, control the controllables.
Yeah. Well, and I often look, around me at other individuals who've been successful, or maybe I want to try something and I'm like, well, it worked for this many people, so give it a try. It's like one of those things, you got to give something a try.
Yeah.
If you just sit where you are, you're never going to make any type of progress. So if you're not sure where to start, go find a mentor or look at those around you, but you can't just sit there and complain about it.
Right.
That's not going to fix it.
No, you can't. And that's where a lot of people think, nothing has that. Trust me, I spent decades of my early life complaining about things and hoping they would be different. And you know what happened? They were the same, and I was just pissed off. So we've got to figure out, how we can quit complaining. It took me longer, I think, than I would have liked to come to that realization, which is why we're trying to help.
40 years in the wilderness?
I was 40 years in the wilderness. I was 40 years in the wilderness of Earth. But it's true. It might have taken, maybe I'm a slow learner, but that's kind of why we're putting this out there for you guys, is because we've got to start helping and being kind and just enjoying life, and don't overcomplicate it. Comfort food is comfort food. We all need comfort food. I'm not saying you're not going to have a day where you go negative, but set a time frame.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I'm going to fuss about this for about the next 30 minutes, and I got to get going with my day.
What's your, if it doesn't matter in 5 months, 5 years?
Or 5 minutes, 5 months, 5 years. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Then don't spend. Yeah, I think it's if it doesn't. The quote I think from Mel Robbins was like, if it doesn't. She has that 5-second rule book, which is fantastic. But it's the quote I've heard is something like, if it's not going to matter in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes thinking about it.
Yeah.
And that's really true. Like, in the grand scheme of things, most of the decisions that we really stress over aren't that big of a deal. Who to marry, whether to have kids, raising your kid, those are big things, right?
Yeah.
And so you need to choose those wisely, because I've seen some people make some knucklehead decisions around that, but choose them. And once you choose them, you control what you can control.
Yeah.
Which is what's been interesting, it is far less, there are far fewer things that we can control than I previously thought. Growing up, I thought, and I will say, even when I first got married and newlyweds and stuff, we had to do the, I don't know if y'all had to do this. My ex-husband and I had to do that the premarital counseling.
Yes.
And we met with a counselor. And I remember her saying that we had unrealistic expectations. Maybe I should have kept, but the reason we did is because we didn't see the negative. We were both like, oh yeah, everything's great. We're not going to fight. It's going to be just kumbaya for the next 50 years. And then life happens, and it's not like you thought. So she was right. We totally had unrealistic expectations. Yeah. But, the thing is, you figure that out. You don't stick in the negative. You work through it, or you don't. It's one of those things. We all tend to think that it's going to be grand. And then when it's not, we get in there and we try to pull it apart and nitpick and figure out, how can I control the situation? Where some of the times we're not supposed to be in control.
Yeah.
If my mother's listening, I'm still in control. No, I'm just playing. No, it's because both, I kind of grew up like I needed to have control over everything. I'm totally type A. Like we said, I'm big, but yeah, you are as well. So big personality. We've got to take a back seat and understand that, we can't control everything.
Yeah. 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 And I'm kind of, cause I know we talked about this when everything had shut down and we were starting to come back out. I'm a little disappointed at how things have developed, because we meaning you and I, we talked about coming out of this and taking the time to reassess, make sure we didn't go back to whatever, only go back to the right normals, to quote Dave Hollis. I don't know that we've done that.
We have. I think there's some people that haven't. Yeah.
But as a collective, because why do we see, I don't know, I just feel like the negativity and the not kindness has been escalated. in the last 2 years.
And I blame politics and the media for that, for like 100%.
Right.
Well,
Yes.
I shouldn't say that. They are the vehicle and the vessel that is causing some of you guys to go wackadoodle.
Yeah.
And that's the wackadoodle is what has to stop is it's what you feed yourself. It's like he said in the clip, if you're feeding yourself the rhetoric and all the stuff and all the negativity, and more importantly, and you guys hear me on this, if you're sitting there feeding yourself why the other person is wrong, as opposed to taking time to figure out why you feel the way and why you're right. It's not really, it shouldn't be a right versus wrong, but we spend so much time. And that's what I think you're alluding to, is like we came out, not we, but a lot of people came out of the pandemic, and now that they're back out there, they're like, let me tell you all the things that y'all are doing wrong. And that's crap, you guys. It's like, if they're not doing it like you do, okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yep.
As long as they're not hurting you. If you can't help them, don't hurt them.
Yeah.
But if they're not hurting you, maybe, just maybe, they're different.
Yeah.
Their normal is different. Their comfort food is different. Their, familiar is different.
Yeah. And we should be more willing to help those that need help when it's needed, right? Like extending that hand and being a catalyst for positivity and not negativity.
I try to do that. I definitely try to do that. Is just being able to figure out, okay, what's working, what's not, what makes people happy. I mean, it doesn't take that much of an effort, really. And we talked about this last week a little bit with my coaching clients and the private executives I work with. We do the reach outs. Like the reach outs is every day I want them reaching out to a certain number of people, and just to touch base, just to say hi, because so many people, they don't hear from somebody. They don't, they don't have somebody stop and say hi or just check in or anything like that.
Yeah.
And these are big things. And if you're thinking about people, reach out to them in a positive way. And you know what I mean by that? Yesterday, we had Memorial Day yesterday. And, one of my close girlfriends, Susan's dad was a major general, like big time military. And, he passed away a few years ago from the effects of Agent Orange. So it was a tough day for her. And I was just thinking about her. I'd seen her post earlier in the day and I was just thinking about her. So I just shot her a text and was like, hey, just thinking about you. And that was it. But it was just because she popped into my head and I wanted her to know that I was thinking about her, because I'm sure it was a tough day for her.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm talking about, is little acts of kindness that all of us can do. And if we feed ourselves with that type of stuff, as opposed to feeding ourselves all of the crap that you see online or on the media. And I don't watch TV. I've said this on here before. There's very few shows I watch. I did watch a couple yesterday, but I don't watch the news at all. But if you quit feeding yourself the crap, you have more room to curate your own feed. I mean, I'm very up on the news, but I do my own research and I look things up and I try to pull in both sides so I can understand where various people are coming from.
Yeah.
But we need to be more particular about what we're ingesting and feeding.
Yeah. Yeah. So you remember my John Mayer song that I alluded to last week? Okay.
Yes. So
I found the lyrics and I found the name of the song, which is Belief.
Mm-hmm.
And the section of the song that I referred to last week was, is there anyone who ever remembers changing their mind from the paint on a sign? It's kind of the same with social media, like trying to convince someone to change their mind because of your post.
Yep.
Everyone believes in how they think it ought to be, and they're not going easily. Meaning we're all kind of, we're planting our feet on what we believe, and there's not much that's going to
change it.
Yeah.
It's true. And I like that song. I mean, you'd sent me the lyrics and I was like, okay. I don't know if I've heard it though.
It's not like one of his more popular songs.
Yeah.
But well, I say that compared to all the others, but
he's got a couple.
Yeah.
Got a couple popular songs.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of these things where I'm a lyrics person. Like lyrics get me. And I know, do you remember that old Drew? You may not remember. It was Drew Barrymore and Hugh Grant did that music and lyrics song. It was hysterical.
Yeah, didn't they do a movie
Oh,
together?
movie. That's what I meant. Movie.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yes.
They do sing in it.
Okay.
Which is great. But it was great. I'm the lyrics girl. Like lyrics get me about a song, and I'll be texting back and forth and with friends or so, and sending different just lyrics. That's what I like. Like I'll hear a song and it gets me in my feels. But all of us have something that generated. Like I like the feel good stuff, or the ones that you're like, oh, that sounds like me. There's some songs that like you just feel like, oh, I think you wrote that for me.
Yes.
Excuse me. It was written for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've always liked lyrics, and I think that's spot on, because we're not going to change people's mind. Maybe we need to write a song. You might not want me singing it.
No, but we can write it and call up some folks.
We could call. I can sing. It's not good.
Yeah, that's about like mine.
Yeah, Sean, my ex-husband, who for those of you guys that listen, he's a musician, and he said my voice was like nothing you've ever heard. I don't feel that he meant it as a compliment. I feel like I sing. I'm very enthusiastic about my singing. It's just
bad.
It's not my gift.
Yeah.
I'm always a big believer of using your God-given gifts. That is the one gift I wish I had. I do not have.
Hey, you know what? There may be hope, because I literally just saw that Christina Aguilera is on Masterclass. We can learn.
I don't think it's teachable. I'm going to go out on a limb.
I kind of thought that when I saw that. I was like, wow.
I know. I don't think I'm going to be able to sound like ex-Tina after this. But you know what? Here's the thing. I like to sing. It's fun. I enjoy it. My children and I sing together. They actually can sing. I cannot. But it's okay. We have fun, because we're keeping it positive. I'm not going to sing for you guys on air. It is, I've mentioned this before, it is the one bucket list item I have that scares the bejesus out of me.
Karaoke?
Is karaoke.
Oh, we got to make it happen.
I know, because I do a lot of, before the pandemic, I did a lot of speaking. You can put me in front of a crowd of 10,000 people. I'm totally fine. I will do a keynote. I'm all day long. Put me in a karaoke bar in front of 2 people, and
I will say, though, that
that's me feeding myself the fear, though. It's the fear of getting up in front of 2 people doing something I know.
I don't know. It may be a little bit based on fact, because what I have experienced is singing in the car and singing into a mic, 2 totally different things.
I don't know. I think it's for me, and maybe this goes to fear and kind of what I'm feeding myself the fear of it.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is, because let's take that, for example, because we're talking about what you feed yourself. My thought around karaoke is the fear of me getting up and looking like a buffoon because I can't sing. It's not the thought of how fun it will be to check that item off my list, or how the reaction, it's a mindset thing. It's really, that's just a one hang up for me. Most of the stuff on my bucket list is not scary.
Yeah.
It's just things I'd love to do. That's the one that's my scary item.
I think that's how you know you've won at karaoke, though, is if you do look like a buffoon.
Well, then I've got that. So maybe that's just switching the mindset. But so that goes back to our point. What I feed myself needs to be, this is about fun. It's not about being good, because that ship has sailed long ago for me to be good at singing. But I feel like I need to just make it more about having fun.
Yeah. We do need to do this. We can go to another state.
Go to another state.
If that makes it any easier.
I don't know. We have people in every state.
Because I want to do it too. I even have my song. I'm not going to reveal what it is, but I have my song.
I was told to do a song that the crowd sings along with.
Oh, to cover up the buffoonness.
Yes. So do like a YMCA or a Journey song or something like that. Journey's pushing it.
Yes, that is.
But I'm not going to do Whitney Houston or anything like that. But I might. You never know. We shall see. But let's talk for a minute as we close about what others can do with this feeding yourself. Because I want, when we talk about comfort food, I want people to be, there's nothing wrong with being comfortable. There's nothing wrong with comfort food. It just can't keep you in a bad place. Yeah. So if the comfort food and what you're feeding yourself, whether it's through social media, whether it's through the relationships you have, if what you're feeding yourself is not allowing you to grow, not allowing you to be happy, or is keeping you in a place you really, really, really know you shouldn't be, whether it's a job, a relationship, a friendship, anything, an addiction, whatever it is, if it's keeping you in a place you know you shouldn't be, you've got to look at what you're feeding yourself that's contributing to that.
Yeah.
And make some changes to kind of curate your feed.
Yeah. It's kind of the other saying of do one thing a day that scares you. To force yourself out of your comfort zone.
Well, and I like that. I mean, I like that. I think you should do something. And if you're not doing it every day, that's okay. Sometimes it's just figuring out what's healthy and what's not. And then to my earlier point, what am I overcomplicating that I really don't need to?
Yeah.
Because most of the bad stuff that we think is going to happen never happens. I mean, I stress and worry over all kind of stuff that never happens. If we just let it go and kind of focused on living. Maybe we should all get back to living. Maybe we just need to focus on our lives and making them better and making them positive and being kind. And the rest might just take care of itself.
I like that.
I mean, you still got to get a job, but you know.
Oh, yeah, you know that.
Other than paying bills and that. But I feel like if we all just maybe let's take this next week and try to figure out what we can do to simplify, to show kindness, and to control our feed, curate our feed with only the good stuff.
I like this challenge.
I like that challenge too.
I think they have to take it all the way through next Tuesday because I got yesterday off.
Yeah, yesterday we didn't have, a lot of people didn't have, a lot of people did have challenges yesterday because it was a tough day for a lot of people, and I respect that. It's tough. But we've got a new week. We're rolling into summer despite the fact it's still cold here a little bit. And I mean, I realize we're not cold compared to the rest of the country, but it was a little breezy yesterday.
Yeah.
But I think let's take this next week and figure out the good and curate. That's our theme for the week. Curate your feed.
Yeah.
And curate it into something that's healthy and the people that are healthy. Your feed includes social. It includes the people you're around, includes the things you're doing. Look at your calendar. If you want to start somewhere, look at your calendar this week. Figure out what you're jazzed about. Like who's on your calendar. You're like, yes, I get to see this person. Do more of that. And look at your calendar again and then say, what are you dreading? Whether it's a meeting, a person, a client, a family member, a friend, whatever. If you're dreading them, move them the heck off your calendar. Don't spend your time with them. I think that'll be a good way to start curating your feed.
Agreed. Let's do it.
All right. So we got it. So next week, we will be back in studio again. And my Whitney's going to get a break because we've got one of my other esteemed co-hosts, Miss Mia Andre, will be with us next week, fresh off her trip to New York.
Nice.
She has been in New York for talk about positivity and letting go of control. This is my teenager who has been in New York for 2 weeks without me, just gallivanting around the city of New York, having a grand time. So her older sister, she's been with her. I've just let my two oldest just run amok in the streets of New York. They're having a blast. So we're going to talk next week with her, and we're going to talk a little bit more about letting go of control and allowing kids the opportunity to explore and to kind of curate their own adventures as well. So that's what we're covering next week.
Nice.
All right, Whitney, go curate your life, curate that feed. And all you guys watching the replay, thank you for being with us. We will see you again next Tuesday.